The more you learn, the more you earn. That's been rammed down our throats for decades. And I was training 75 leaders last night, and I spoke to one leader, and she has 2 master's degrees. She's a certified practicing accountant, and she still doesn't have the success that she's looking for. And she said, Daniel, how is it possible that I've gone to university and school for a good portion of 30 years and I still don't have the success that I'm looking for? She said, I've got all the knowledge. And I said, well, what about your skills? She said, I've been practicing for a decade. And I said, well, what about your attitude? And she said, well, that's a problem. See, we can have all the knowledge and all the skill that we desire, but if we lack the right attitude, then we're going to take the wrong action. And when we study how the brain works, we've learned that how we make decisions remains consistent over time. So from the time of conception, your brain is developing different ways to make decisions. And that stays the same throughout most of your lifetime. You and I have spoken about this before. We've got 60,000 thoughts a day. 95% are on repeat. And so how you think, decide and act determines your results. And we do it all day, every day. And it's outside of conscious awareness. We're actually inattentive to how we make decisions. People say, well, Daniel, I did a plus and a minus. I weighed the pros and cons. No, that's a tool of thinking, but you don't know how you got to the decision. So when I looked at this person's Hartman value profile, which measures the brain's natural process of making a decision, she had some really good attention scores in the area of systems judgment. So if you think about this, a certified practicing accountant, somebody who's completed 2 master's degrees, is a very systemic thinker. She knows the taxation laws, she knows the accounting principles, and she can look at your numbers and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, profit, loss, etc. And her mind works systemically. That wasn't the problem. She could do the job, but she didn't have the success that she desired. And that comes back into what you mentioned before about emotional intelligence. Daniel Goleman, in his book Emotional Intelligence 2.0, stated that 58% of your success in life is going to come down to your emotional intelligence, not your IQ. Your IQ is fixed. At age 13 or 14, it doesn't change. But emotional intelligence is fluid, and there's 5 key areas. The first area is self-awareness, and this is understanding why we think and feel the way that we do. Lady last night, she doesn't know how she thinks. If you don't know how you think, you don't realize how that impacts your emotions. And if you're acting out of fear, you're going to get a very different result than if you are acting out of courage. The second pillar of emotional intelligence is self-regulation. And self-regulation is about controlling those thought and feeling impulses. Everybody has a family member who speaks before they think, and they always end up in trouble. And all of us have been in that dark hole before, that pit of despair. We know we're in there, we know it's not good for us, but we can't get ourselves out of it. And that's regulation. The third pillar of emotional intelligence is motivation. Now, it's not the Tony Robbins jump up and down motivation, T. Harv Eker, I've got a millionaire mind. It's not that type of stuff. It's about resilience. You know, in business, you're going to fail more times than you succeed. Doesn't mean that you're not going to be rich. See, 71% of decisions you make will turn out to be wrong in the fullness of time. And the only way to overcome a bad decision is to make another decision. And when that doesn't work out, you decide again, you make another decision. But you've got to have the resiliency to pick yourself up. You know, the Japanese say, fall down 7 times, get back up 8. And if you look at any business person, they've had huge failures. The average self-made millionaire goes bankrupt or close to bankruptcy 2.4 times before they succeed. So when we looked at this case study last night, the problem wasn't the knowledge and the skill, it was the approach. And she was self-depreciating. She wasn't asking for more responsibilities. She had been offered 2 pay rises, but because she didn't feel worthy of it, she never followed it through. So emotional intelligence is going to determine how we think, how we feel, and how we act. And if you've got the right knowledge and the right skill and you still don't have the success that you're looking for, then the third component is the attitude. It's how we're approaching the job. It's how we're approaching the people. And they're the things that have to change. And that's the importance of emotional intelligence for both a business person and a serious professional.